Assessment creates a path forward. Judgment creates a black hole. Assessment is curious and full of possibility. Judgment is a slam door. Assessment is the key to career longevity. Judgment is the fast track to being a flash in the pan. Keep listening to learn more about how assessment over judgment is the cornerstone to career clarity and growth. Hey everyone, I'm Laverne McKinnon and welcome to the Moonshot Mentor podcast. I'm a certified career coach and a grief recovery specialist. I help ambitious, driven people feel confident, empowered, and excited after experiencing a career setback. Whether it's from feeling stuck in a tough period or frustration from slow progress, I offer up a lot of tools and resources to revamp your path to career success. One of the most important keys to career longevity is the ability to assess and not judge both ourselves and others. Judgment is about good and bad, right and wrong. It has the energy of a slam door and it cuts growth, opportunity, and potential right off, right at the root. Assessment is about identifying what's working and why, and what's not working and why. It has the energy of a parent with a young child. Judgment requires quick decisions, rigid rules, and fortune telling. It's best used in a competitive situation or life and death situations with those who are mentally and emotionally trained to withstand the stress and rigorous feedback loops. Assessment requires grace, compassion, an open mind, and a willing heart. It also needs curiosity, intelligence, effort, and gentle, loving rigor. Judgment is unfortunately and frequently used by those who don't actually have the training for it. Think of a 7-year-old getting behind the wheel of a car. They can't reach the pedals and they can't see over the dashboard, and yet they're able to push a button to turn on the vehicle and put their hands on the wheel. A recipe for harm. That's judgment. When looking to improve performance and outcomes, assessment puts judgment to shame. It's the courage to slow down, to look carefully at what's underneath, beside, behind, over, above, and not just what can be seen in a cursory glance at the cover. It's the courage to ask questions, to clarify what truly needs to be examined, rather than making assumptions. It's the courage to abandon, I know what's best, and stand in the I don't know. Assessment seeks to understand. When you assess your career versus judge it, it looks like asking yourself these questions. How am I living my life purpose? How am I honoring my values? If I'm feeling anxious, worried, or angry about my current role, what values are being stepped on? How do I feel about my role and career in this moment? What am I longing for? It's important to not look to take action when you're in the assessment phase. Jumping to action bypasses the opportunity to listen deeply and fire up your intuition. Now, when you judge your career versus assessing it, it might look like this. I hate my job. I'm not where I should be. I'm being held back. There's no way to move forward. I have to hold on to this job or else. Why am I not as far along as this other person? You know you're in judgment when there are black and white verdicts, no guiding force, and unanswerable questions. For most people, judgment is constant. We're in comparison mode and we're blaming outside forces and ourselves simultaneously for lack of fulfillment, progress, and satisfaction. Judgment does not move the career needle. Assessment identifies your strengths and needs and lights the path forward. Let's take a look at a case study that takes us from judgment to assessment. Let's call my client Amber. She's in her early 30s and has been working in the entertainment industry since she was 21 years old. She started out with an internship at NBC in publicity. And in her undergraduate program, she figured out that she didn't like writing, acting, or directing. She was actually more excited about aspects of production, especially post-production. So after she graduated from Loyola Marymount, she got a lot of advice about working for an agency as a way to launch her career. So she got a job as an assistant at a mid-sized firm, and it pretty quickly went south. She didn't flourish with the pace and the culture of multitasking. She was overwhelmed by the volume, the names, the expectations that she would read scripts on her off hours. And after 8 months, she quit. And she felt so despondent that she had wasted time getting her career off the ground. When Amber and I took a closer look at that moment in time, we practiced assessment to reframe the meaning she made from that experience. So rather than wasting time, we were able to determine office environments with lots of people in cubicles talking over each other agitate her nervous system. At that time, she contemplated going on medication to help her cope better with the environment. We also figured out that Amber prefers deep work versus jumping from task to task. She likes to immerse herself in one project at a time. After the agency gig, Amber pivoted to becoming an assistant in the public relations department where she had worked at NBC as an intern. It felt like a soft landing because she knew the people and they liked her. That job lasted for about 3 years without advancement. Amber judged that time as a black hole in terms of her career. She knew that she didn't love PR, but her boss was kind and a stark contrast to the agency world, and she liked the security of a corporate gig and the benefits like health insurance and 401k. She eventually left that job, though, feeling depressed and completely lost about what she wanted to do with her life. In applying assessment to that time period, we recognize the following things. A kind boss is important to Amber, which is why she stayed as long as she did. Amber loves to learn, and her boss would give her new assignments that challenged her, which is another reason why she stayed as long as she did. Writing is not her strong suit. Amber's boss would give her draft releases to write, but she never quite got them right, which is one reason why she was not promoted. Amber also realized how much she detested talking to people she didn't know. She prefers a small, tight circle of people to work with rather than having to talk with a lot of different people every day. It was after this job that Amber and I started to work together. And in removing judgment from her reflections on her work history and focusing on assessment, we were able to paint a picture of how Amber thrives. In addition, we did grief work related to losses she experienced at the agency. We also did visioning exercises to gain clarity on her values and life purpose so that they could serve as her North Star. The combination of assessment, grief work, purpose, and values helped us to identify an action plan. So going back to her undergraduate roots, Amber reconnected with friends who were working in post-production. She set up informational interviews and discovered that post-production checked off several boxes for her, focusing on one project at a time, working with the same group of people, creativity that doesn't require writing or directing or acting. And technology is constantly changing, which is exciting to Amber because she loves to be challenged and learn new things. So with boxes being checked off, Amber worked her network to get a job as a post-production assistant on a feature. With her foot in the door, she asked questions, observed, and listened to her heart. She found herself really enjoying the sound process. With her interest clarified even more, Amber asked one of the sound engineers for a coffee. That person became a mentor and an advocate. Amber is now successfully working her way up the ladder, and with her mentor's guidance has been taking classes to shore up some of her skills. In addition, she's flexing her muscles by taking on small indie projects. Along the way, she's mastering the ability to swerve out of judgment and lean into assessment. I would recommend following Amber's lead and making overall career assessments on a yearly basis rather than on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. The hard truth is that your career is going to have a lot of ups and downs, and you don't want to make a decision about pivoting or moving into a new direction until you have a sense of being out of the trigger of emotion. So Amber is now doing an annual assessment at the end of every calendar year when she's on her winter hiatus and she's got time to reflect, journal, and practice a few rituals. So bottom line, assessment over judgment is the secret sauce for career longevity. While judgment shuts doors, assessment opens them wide, inviting growth and understanding. Judgment rushes to conclusions, while assessment patiently explores what lies beneath the surface. So when you ponder your career, ask yourself open-ended, probing questions so that you can find the values that are being honored or stepped on. Don't rush to judgment. Instead, gently unravel the complexities and whether your current role is a manifestation of your life purpose, or maybe it's just a stepping stone to the next thing. When you trade judgment for assessment, you light the way forward, step by step, towards a fulfilling career path. So that's it for today. Head over to Moonshot Mentor on Substack.com for journal questions to help you access your ability to assess rather than judge. If you have any questions or comments about today's podcast, don't hesitate, drop a comment. You can also visit me at moonshotmentor.com, where you can find links to all of my social and how to work with me. And a very, very big thank you to Lynn Chen for the video and audio editing. You can find her on social at Ms. Lynn Chen. And if you're enjoying what you hear, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe or forward this to a friend. It would help me achieve my moonshot of 5,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next week.